Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are taking a seriously deep dive into a profound philosophical journey. And I'll warn you up front, this is going to completely dismantle our everyday perception of reality. We're exploring some mind-bending concepts from ancient Buddhist texts, specifically looking at how our existence might not be anywhere near as solid as we think it is. If you've ever found yourself wondering about the nature of reality, this concept of emptiness, and how to actually live a deeply compassionate life without getting bogged down by the drama of it all, well, you are in the exact right place. So, let's jump right in.
Okay, picture this. Imagine a master magician. With a flick of the wrist, they conjure up an illusion, a totally lifelike person right out of thin air. Now, here is a wild question posed by the ancient disciple Subhuti. If that pure illusion, that totally fake person, decides to practice the path to ultimate enlightenment and Buddhahood, can it succeed? Seriously, can a mirage become a Buddha? I know, it sounds like a riddle, but the answer to this actually unlocks the very structure of the universe.
To unpack this, here is our roadmap for today. First, illusion and reality. Second, why the aggregates are illusions. Third, the logic that all is a dream. Fourth, beware bad friends. And finally, the traceless path.
Starting off with Section 1, Illusion and Reality, where we start questioning those boundaries.
Let's get our terms straight first. In Buddhist philosophy, what we call a person is made up of the 5 aggregates. Think of these as your building blocks: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. It's basically all the physical and mental stuff that makes you, well, you. Now, in contrast, the illusory person is a magical creation. It's a hologram, a trick of the light. Now, we naturally assume there is this massive, unbridgeable difference between our living, breathing aggregates and a magician's trick, right? But the text is asking us to completely challenge that assumption.
And that brings us right back to Subhuti's dilemma. You see, Subhuti knew that the Buddha taught that all phenomena are ultimately empty. They lack inherent independent existence. So Subhuti is just thinking logically here. He's like, wait, if my body and mind are fundamentally empty, and an illusion is completely empty, then a real practitioner and a fake illusion seem to have literally no difference. So why on earth couldn't a magical illusion achieve ultimate wisdom?
Which leads us straight into Section 2, Aggregates are Illusions, where we start shattering existence as we know it.
This is where it gets really fascinating. Look at how an illusion and our own existence are virtually identical. An illusory person uses magic to trick our physical eyes, right? It makes us feel real emotions like surprise or delight over something totally fake. But our 5 aggregates, our own body and mind, they do the exact same thing, just on a cosmic scale. They trick our eye of wisdom. Born from karmic ignorance, which is just our deeply ingrained habit of misunderstanding reality, our physical and mental forms trick us. They make us experience greed, anger, and suffering over a self that isn't actually solidly there. When you break it down, they are both fundamentally just mechanisms of deception.
Because both function as these convincing deceptions, the Buddha gives a beautifully definitive and striking answer. Form is not different from illusion. Illusion is not different from form. Essentially, our bodies, our feelings, our thoughts, structurally speaking, they are identical to a magician's trick. They pop up from specific causes and conditions, they put on a very convincing show, and then they vanish. There is no hard, solid reality behind the curtain.
Which brings us to this number, 0. Because our physical and mental components are essentially illusions, they have 0 inherent nature. They possess absolutely 0 independent substance. They aren't truly born, they aren't truly destroyed, they can't be inherently defiled, and they can't be inherently purified. They are just a temporary fluctuating performance. So, the next time your ego gets bruised, just remember, inherently you're a 0, but in a really good way.
Moving on to Section 3, All is a Dream, exploring how all phenomena are illusions.
Now, this abstract concept of emptiness isn't just some dry intellectual theory. It's something we can actually relate to through these beautiful metaphors. The texts tell us to view reality like an echo. You hear it, sure, but try to grab it. You can't. Or like a shadow. It moves right along with you, but it has 0 mass. Like a mirage in the desert. Or, my personal favorite, like a dream. Think about it. In a dream, a tiger chasing you might leave you waking up in a literal cold sweat, but you eventually wake up and realize the tiger had 0 true substance. Waking reality? It operates on that exact same core logic.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, if everything is a fake dream, why do anything at all? Why not just give up? But that is totally the wrong takeaway. Realizing everything is a dream isn't nihilism, it's liberation. It means bodhisattvas, the people dedicated to enlightenment, can practice profound compassion entirely within the illusion.
They work tirelessly to save illusory beings from illusory suffering, but without that heavy, crushing attachment and burnout that comes from thinking it's all solid and permanent. It is literally the ultimate key to practicing kindness freely.
All right, Section 4, Beware Bad Friends and the Very Real Dangers on This Path.
Misinterpreting this concept of emptiness is incredibly dangerous. The texts warn heavily about bad spiritual friends, and these aren't necessarily people who are acting overtly evil. They're often people who use the philosophy of emptiness as an excuse to just abandon ethical action entirely. They might say, well, since everything is an illusion, charity, morality, and meditation don't even matter. This is a massive trap. It leads straight to a spiritual dead end.
The sources even outline the step-by-step tactics these negative influences use. It's practically a playbook. First, they show up looking like an unassailable authority. The texts even use the metaphor of Mara, the embodiment of illusion, disguising himself as a Buddha or a parent. Second, they preach this extreme nihilistic emptiness, focusing purely on the nothingness. And finally, they use this to convince the seeker to abandon the bodhisattva path of helping others, basically saying, just focus on your own quick personal escape.
The contrast here is night and day. A bad spiritual friend weaponizes emptiness. They use it to breed fear, apathy, and inaction, making you think nothing matters. But a true, good spiritual friend uses that exact same concept to liberate you. They teach that precisely because nothing is rigidly fixed, infinite growth and boundless compassionate action are actually possible. Emptiness should make you totally fearless, not apathetic.
And finally, Section 5, The Traceless Path, Walking in Truth. The texts introduce this fascinating concept here. The highest truth of a bodhisattva is no meaning. What does that even mean, right? Well, it means that absolute truth cannot be boxed into language, strict definitions, or rigid dogmas. The second you try to freeze reality into a fixed meaning or stick a permanent label on it, you lose the truth of its fluid, dreamlike nature.
I just love the imagery the source text uses here. Like a bird flying through the sky leaving no trace, the bodhisattva's path is exactly like this. When a bird flies, it navigates perfectly, it takes action, it moves, but it doesn't leave heavy footprints in the air behind it. A bodhisattva performs infinite good deeds. They help countless beings, and they live fully, but they leave absolutely no trace of a rigid, attached ego. They just don't carry the heavy baggage of their actions.
And this culminates in the ultimate daily practice. The bodhisattva masterfully navigates two different spheres without any friction at all. On one hand, they practice worldly good dharmas. These are your everyday actions and practices like charity and meditation. But simultaneously, they maintain the super mundane dharmas, that ultimate realization of emptiness and liberation. They do profound good in the world, knowing fully well it is an empty, beautiful illusion.
So wrapping this all up, we began by asking if an illusion can achieve enlightenment. The wild truth is, we are the illusion, and enlightenment is realizing exactly that. So I want to leave you with this thought. If your mind, your body, and your circumstances are ultimately just a fluctuating, dreamlike illusion, what kind of magnificent, compassionate story are you going to write today? Because hey, if it's all a dream, why not make it a beautiful one that helps everyone wake up? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.